Okay, hello, and welcome back to part 2 of the Python for Researchers mini-series on Pandas and Matplotlib. So yesterday, we scraped our world population data direct from Wikipedia. We did not use a spreadsheet, we did it using the Pandas read HTML command. And we tidied up our indices, and we sorted and we filtered, and we got it into a shape that looked like this. And now we're ready to plot. And we are going to plot this now using Matplotlib. So Matplotlib is a real workhorse of a module for Python. If you're going to be generating visualizations using Python, then the chances are you're going to do that with Matplotlib. There are other modules available, and we will touch on those in the workshop, but this will probably be the one that you use the most frequently. And I will always start by importing Matplotlib as follows. Import matplotlib.pyplot, and I'm going to import that as the variable name plt. So whenever I call a function from the matplotlib.pyplot library, I'm going to use plt dot and then call the function. So I'm going to run that, and then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to set up a figure and an axis. Fig, comma, axis is equal to plt dot subplots is the method I'm using, and you can see if I run that, nothing happens, right? Now, to output your plot in line in Jupyter, you need to run the plt.show command. I'm running it at the bottom here underneath these comments because I'm going to do stuff in these comments, but if I run that, you can see I get a blank canvas. Okay, so here are my axes. I haven't got any data in there, it's just white. So let's plot the first row in this data frame. Let's plot the world population as a function of time. I want the x-axis is going to be our time, and then population is going to be our y. Okay, so that's simple enough. I use the ax.plot command, and then I'm going to do df filtered, which is my data frame, and then I'm going to call this row. Now, to call this row on its own, I use the .lock function, and I then specify the row by its label, its index label, which is world, and I'm going to close that, complete the parenthesis, and then I'm going to run it. And there you go, I get a single line on a graph. The line is blue. Matplotlib decides what color it wants to be automatically. We worry about colors tomorrow, but I get my chart with a line on it. Brilliant. Now, what if I wanted to plot another line? I could do ax.plot df filtered.lock Asia. And if I run that, I get another line on the graph. Now, I could go through all of those labels and write line, and get all of my lines on, but I want to be a bit clever on that. So I'm going to use a for loop to do that, and I'm going to do this. So I plotted my single row. Let me get rid of that comment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write for row in df filtered, which is my data frame again, and I'm going to use this method, which is iter rows. So it's going to go through each of those rows in turn within the loop. And let me just show you what each of those row variables looks like as I'm going through the loop. I print them out. Okay, I get a list, and I get a list here for one row, and there's the second row, and so on and so forth. And the first item in each of those lists is the index label, so world is the first one, and then the second item in that list is another list which contains all of the data I want to plot. So if I try and plot all of that in one go, I'll get an error. I just want to plot the second item in that list. So if I type that there as an index of 1, 0, then 1, second index, I'll just get the data. Okay, and to do that, I do ax.plot, and then I go row 1. Okay, and there you go. I get all my data on the chart. I am going to label each of those with my index, and that's going to be useful later when I write a legend. And I might actually, while I'm here, change the line width. Let's do something. There are loads of parameters you can use in the ax.plot method. I'm going to change it to a line width of 3, make it a bit thicker. There you go, that's a bit better. Right, okay, so things are looking good. I have committed a cardinal sin here in that I haven't yet included labels for my axis or a chart title. So let's do that now. That's really easy to do using the ax.setXlabel command. So this is going to set the label on my x-axis. That, of course, is year. And the y, you guessed it, is, let's say, population in millions. Okay, and how about a title? Ax.setTitle. This is historical world population. Brilliant. And if I run that, bingo, all there. I feel a lot better now. Brilliant. So if you're just looking at that graph and you didn't have the data table, you'd be like, what on earth are each of these lines? I have no idea. We need a legend here. So because I've used this label, so each of my lines here have a label, I can now use the legend command. If I don't include this when I'm plotting, when I call my legend, I'm going to get an error. But because I can just do ax.legend, and if I run that, there you go. And Matplotlib automatically tries to place the legend in the most sensible place, which in this case is the top left. If ever I wanted to specify that location manually, then I do lock equals upper. I'll just do upper right as an example to show you the difference. There you go. Okay, but I don't need to do that. Okay, another thing I might want to do, and you can see each of these lines has a bit of an exponential relationship with time, so I can't really distinguish a lot of detail here. I can't see any big differences between population size before about 1900. I might want to use a logarithmic scale, and that is really easy to do in Matplotlib. Let's just do ax.setYscale, and I'm going to use the string log. And there you go. I've got a logarithmic scale on my y-axis. Very nice. And you can see Matplotlib here in an effort to minimize the amount of space that the legend takes up over a line, has put it in the bottom right now instead of the top left. Okay. Ideally, we'd want to do something about this. I'd probably put the legend somewhere else, or I'd label these lines some other way. We'll do that tomorrow. That's it for today. Tomorrow, in addition to doing that, we are going to look at ways of really jazzing up the charts, and we'll look at ways to get that image out as a file, more importantly as a vector graphic, so you can then use those in your publications and your theses, and we'll do a few other fun things as well. Okay, right, so that's it for today. I'll see you all tomorrow.